Welcome, good morning, good afternoon.
Good morning, everybody, and ben fête nationale, I believe, French national holiday. So, to all my French people out there,
Bonjour.
Bonjour, bonsoir, bon fête nationale.
Yeah.
This is Brett, and he is in his new studio, as you can see. Brett Parry, live from really down under because he's hiding in a bunker. Or where are you?
Yes, in a bunker downtown, undisclosed location. Can't tell you, otherwise I kill you. No,
Right, so we won't be asking.
Everything's good, my friend. We're all. This is jazz. This happens, and we do what we need to do. But we promise we are committing to our audience, and we are here, and we are doing it from wherever we are. So we, expect us when we are on a beach, when we can get to a beach one day, and we can do that. That's what we'll be doing, and appropriately dressed, of course.
Of course. In your camouflage gear. This is Australian camouflage, by the way. So this was, you didn't hear DEF CON 1 because there was none.
No.
This is Two Chaps, Many Cultures. This is the Tuesday edition. Welcome back, everybody. We're happy that you're joining us via Facebook or YouTube or whatever channel it is you're using to find us. Maybe soon LinkedIn. Who knows if the powers that are at LinkedIn would like to see that happening live on their channel as well. We'd be happy to do that too, wouldn't we, Brett?
Absolutely. That is one thing that we need to do, yes. So if anybody's out there in listening land and happens to be on LinkedIn and that's your preferred way of absorbing content, then we would love for you to share it and tag LinkedIn and ask them why. But that's all right. It is what it is. This is, I'm sure that they're busily working at it in the background.
Of course. We might not be important enough to them yet, but we will prove you wrong.
No, we won't prove it. We're going to prove that our audience is important enough. This is where we don't have to be important, but the audience is important.
It is all about the audience. It's not about us. It is about you people. So, and that sounded weird, you people. But when I say you people, that means all y'all, which shows you that all y'all, that how we say it here in the U.S. Southeast. Yeah. So this week is under the banner of, yeah, sure, you see the banner on top, but the banner that we chose for this week, like a loose topic, topic de semaine, I believe was what we called it yesterday, is coaching. How is coaching a tool, an instrument, a strategy that can be very successful when you work across cultures, when you work in different behavioral contexts? It doesn't have to be that you have to leave your country or your own culture to work globally. Sometimes it just means you're working with a chap like this who's Aussie and doesn't get what I'm saying, right? So I had to develop some dexterity to handle this handsome fellow over there. So it could be that you live in a city that is quite diverse, where there's many languages spoken. It could be that there's several generations at the workplace who communicate differently. It could be, well, all sorts of reasons. What other reasons can we think of that we need to adjust our behavior, Brett?
Well, you've got managing a team of younger or older people. There's generational. There's all kinds of diversity that exists in the world. In corporate settings, we hope to see more coming along. But I mean, I think coaching for me, what I find is when I'm exposed to a coaching environment, when I learn through a coaching environment, I can even apply that with my family, with my day-to-day interactions with the friends and other people I interact with, and so it has application everywhere.
So, in simple terms, because people have asked me this, the first person who asked me this was my father, who still doesn't understand what I'm doing. So when people ask you, oh, what exactly is coaching and how is that different from, aren't you a cultural trainer? Isn't that synonymous? Isn't that interchangeable, training, coaching? Well, my obvious answer is no, it's not interchangeable, but I want to hear your definition, Brett. How would you define coaching as being a different animal from other instructive methodologies?
So coaching, most of my work is global mobility. I'm imparting information, or I'm trying to draw out the abilities of the people that I'm working with to realize that they have in them the capabilities to do what to be successful. So I guess that's kind of going towards that, but oftentimes you will find that there's a key point in these sessions where they request, you can see where it's going really into a full coaching mode, and that is where they are actually laying their soul bare to some degree. Okay. And you have to, and really, I think once you jump that fence, you know, a good friend of mine, Varley Murphy, when she says, when you see that happening, you have to actually stop and ask permission. So it's a different dynamic. It's a more personal, you're asking the people to really disclose their intentions, goals, and innermost fears and feelings, right? And you really need to get permission for that. And that's different to sitting there as a, you know, kind of like a so-called, I hate using the word expert, you know, we used to have a joke for that. It's like an expert is a drip under pressure. But that it just seems to be a different relationship, because you're not imparting knowledge. It really is much more a two-way street and an awakening and an environment.
Yeah. So I think that you brought up, you used the word that I would like to see used in that context. You said you draw it out. So teaching, instructing, lecturing is imparting knowledge or information on somebody. It's often it comes with the danger of being a bit condescending and patronizing, whereas coaching draws out what's already in your client or in your partner or in your coachee. So because we all have inherent skills that we sometimes push aside or talk ourselves out of it, or talk ourselves down, or don't even realize we have that skill, or we are not aware that our skill that we already have might be a transferable skill into another situation. So drawing out versus teaching down, I think that those are the critical elements in my experience. And is there a time and place for both? I would say yes. Sometimes as we work with our clients, there is information that we think they need to have. So I have to find, with my team, we have to find a solution how to present an information that it doesn't come across as the good old teacher with a ruler, and then you listen all up and you sit there peacefully while I kill you with my PowerPoint. But there is one part that is sharing information, presenting new information in a way that it's digestible in a way. And then the other part is the drawing out what's already in them. Right? So a long time ago, and this is something that I found yesterday when we talked about how we're going to do the Tuesday session, I found an old slide that I had on my computer. Well, it's not old, it was from last year. We did a webinar around the benefits of coaching, and I thought I'd like to share this with you because we defined the 5 A's of benefits, what coaching is good for. So it's accountability, alignment, action, awareness, and acceleration. So we want to accelerate the success patterns that people already have in them. We want to draw it out. We want to make them aware. We want to make the coachee aware that they can recognize and understand certain behavioral patterns and understand how they might limit themselves in certain situations. So awareness is, we talked about this, last week. So that's an important puzzle piece. We want a coach will hold the coachee accountable to actually check in with them and say, hey, did you do what you said you were going to do? And also put them into action. So get to work, my friend. This is not me doing the work for you. This is you doing the work, because this is, you want to accomplish something. And we also help, or a good coach helps a client with aligning their objectives with their inner values, whether we help them find out whether what they're tasked to do actually aligns with the way they would like to do it. And sometimes that does work, and sometimes it does not align. And so we find ways to help them redefine how they could do that. So these are my 5 A's. So there's, I'm sure there's a laundry list of many more benefits of coaching. I just like this, and I found it, and I thought, hey, our audience should see this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think these steps, a lot of it is affirming, again, drawing out, looking inside, having them discover the abilities that they've got. I mean, this is what I love about being coached, you know, being that affirmation. We all love that affirmation of, it's not that you can't do this already, but it's someone, you know, a client of mine said, Brett, you know, where I'm paying you to be a consultant, but, you know, understand my view of a consultant is you're just going to take my watch off me and tell me what time it is. That is the best description I ever heard. And then I kind of felt, well, you know, okay. But he did it in a very good way. He said, the thing is that oftentimes I don't have time to look at my watch. I don't have time to check in and see what time it is, what I've got to do, how we've got to structure or operate this business. And so, you know, blind spots, we've talked about blind spots in a previous episode. These things are just simple, sometimes activities that just draw out the abilities. And it really kind of makes us feel good. It gives us some positive affirmations for ourselves to realize that we do have these skills already, and maybe having someone draw them out and also having someone guide you on how to apply them seems to be, for me, one of the successful approaches to coaching. Not the only approach to coaching, because everyone is different, and you must realize that. But that's again the beauty of a good coach. That no, I may not be the best coach for a particular person, and Christian comes along and he all of a sudden has an affinity with somebody, right? I've had coaching. I'm sorry.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa, yeah. And I've had situations where a coaching engagement has stopped because the client says, you know, this just isn't working for me, right? And I would much rather that. Than somebody just kind of be polite and, you know, not get the best out of the experience, which they could probably get from somebody else who maybe has a you know, more synergistic approach or a synergistic relationship. Yeah.
And it could even happen the other way around, that the coach says, well, if you're not willing to do the work, if you're not accountable to what you said you were going to do, what's the purpose in continuing our engagement? I've seen that happen too.
Absolutely. You just get to a point where you say, you know, I'm not serving in the best way that I can, and I don't have the ability to do it, and that's okay. You know, that's you know, that another coach would probably tell you that. Okay, you got to realize you just got to cut and run. There's probably better ways to do it.
That's why we typically, before I personally engage with a coaching client, I say we will have a 2-hour getting to know each other session and feel each other out whether it's a fit or not. And if it's not, then no harm done, and we'll part ways. It hasn't happened during one of these getting to know each other sessions that somebody bailed out, because by the time they commit to the 2 hours, they're already halfway there. But I do offer it to a potential client, because I want them to feel safe that I'm not going to be again the teacher or the drill instructor that's going to make them do things that they don't want to do. It's all in them. A coach, he has it in them. It's not my work, it's their work.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of questions, because I've been asked this in the past. So what is it you do, and how do you get that out of people? Well, to me, one of my mentors kept telling me that he or she who's asking the highest quality questions will be most successful in such an environment. So you got to ask good quality questions. A good quality question is usually not one that your counterpart can answer with a yes or no. So that will be a good start. So my coach, I have an accountability coach. We talk twice a month, and the first question he asks me is, what worked well the last 2 weeks? That's the framework. That's how we started. What went well in the last 2 weeks? So he prompts me to remember the good things. He prompts me to remember my successes or share my successes with him. I may be aware of my successes internally. Oh yeah, I did this. That was great. But saying it out loud and verbalizing it in a different way is reminding myself, hey, I can do certain things. I was good at something the last 14 days. So these are some questions that I like to use. So one way to ask this would be, what were your biggest wins, right? So that's one way to phrase it. Also, once that is out of the way, once I've cleared the air, or once I've drawn it out, so what was good, bring up the happy emotions, bring up the emotion or the memory of success and accomplishment, then a good question might be, so what's missing right now? What's the one thing? Not give me a laundry list, give me one thing that's missing for you right now. What if you could change one thing right now? What would that be? So that actually makes your coachee think about what's the worst thing right now. Well, what is it that I want gone, or what is it that I want to change? Be very specific. And I don't know if this happens to you, Brett. I often find in initial engagements with new clients, there's a lot of unspecificity. There's a lot of vague communication, tiptoeing around the actual core issues. And I think if a really good coach knows how to drill down to the specifics and get to the real pain points and not just the fluff around it, would you not agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It's and that can be that the idea of a good coach should be able to do that in a gentle way, but also a forceful and constructive way that is not threatening, right? Because we are, we do. I come from a culture where people tend to take that feedback or they look at feedback through sarcasm. We'll kind of lighten the mood with a little bit of humor, and I'll do that even as I'm coaching somebody, as I'm imparting knowledge. But there is a point where you have to get kind of serious, where the rubber hits the road. Yeah. So yeah.
And if you've built that rapport with a client, right? So if you feel that it's the right time to get to the core of it, then my experience has been that a client, no matter how much they want to play it off with humor or how much they want to tiptoe around the actual pain point, because it is painful sometimes, that if you help them to get to that point of clarity, there is a sense of relief, a sense of, okay, now I said it out loud, and okay, and now there's no judgment. Oh, okay, great. So I said it and nothing happened. Nobody slapped me. Nobody gave me a slap on the wrist. Okay, good. So it's safe to talk about this. And oh, this is a person that actually wants to see me succeed. And I think for me, if I would have a last sentence for today's session, is if you're not, as a coach, if you're not invested in seeing your clients succeed, then maybe you should consider a different occupation.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Politician.
There we go. See, you always have options. There we go.
There is always options. There is always options. Absolutely. Well, absolutely. Well, we're going to continue this theme this week. So please, in the comments, send us your questions. Send us your comments. Send us your idea. What has been some of your experiences with coaches, good or bad? Some, and we'll unpack them. We'll unpack them, and in terms of how that, what could have been done differently. We'll certainly share the good things. People will, the audience is going to want to know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and let's do it. This is the whole point of this show, is to kind of be a mini coaching in a group setting, right? Is to bring. We need your input. We need your feedback. So any questions, comments, you can send them to the emails or the various platforms that we operate on. So again, just thank you again for joining. We're so grateful for you to do so. And again, as you go through your day, be safe, be well. And final thoughts, Christian?
Thank you for volunteering again, because this man is not in a bunker. He's actually out there volunteering. So thank you for your service.
No worries at all. All right, my friend. And I will see you
tomorrow.
Sometime tomorrow. Bye.
Bye now.